Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your host, Helen and Jan.
Liddell. Aloha.
Today, we're going to talk about how do you balance love, life, and business, or balancing business relationships and with your current relationship or love relationship.
I like that we're talking about this because we actually talk about this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, Helen, because we have significant others that we love so much, but we also have a business. And how do we go about having that balance between work, life, and then relationship? And this is great for our February podcast because it's the love month. So that's what we're going to be talking about for the rest of February: love and money, and all things around that. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One of the things we're going to talk about is setting boundaries. So I love that discussion, setting boundaries. I think for me, what that means is I have office hours. So I set my office hours between 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. I don't necessarily do work for like 12 straight hours because in between I have to pick up my kids. I have to do, sometimes my husband needs something for me, or we have lunch together, or all sorts of things. But for me, the boundaries are work. I make sure that my work doesn't surpass my relationships with my husband and with my kids, because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I'm doing for my family, right? So that to me is the whole setting boundaries. But Helen, what's your idea about setting boundaries?
Yeah, I thought setting boundaries was interesting because in the past, my relationships, I had to set major boundaries because I've always been a dreamer. I've always been goal-oriented, and I was more less looked down upon for my goals and dreams. So the boundaries that I had to set at that time were, you don't talk to me like this. You don't say things like this. You don't bring your pessimism attitude, your negative attitude into the realm of, I got this positive reinforcement. And that was always before my relationship that I have now. The relationship I have now is very healthy. He believes in me. And the boundaries are more around me setting them for myself and saying, hey, this is what you need to do. Because I get so excited when I'm around my partner that I just want to hang out with him, and I want to chill on the couch and watch TV and rub his feet and tell him how cute he is and shower him with tons of love. And I have to say boundaries. Like, you need to let him do his work. And because it goes both ways, right? Boundaries goes both ways. I need to respect him in the paperwork that he needs to do when he gets home. And I need to just give him that space and say, do you have paperwork? Like, ask questions, set those boundaries for yourself. And in return, the boundaries will work both ways for both people to get work done in the home.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I think it's very difficult or challenging to set boundaries because I know for me, I am a people pleaser, and I'm really working hard on not pleasing, everyone at the same time, but I'm working on it. Hence progress, not perfection. So I would say that one, to be intentional with the boundaries and really reflect on what it is that we need to do. And it's important to reflect weekly, because I think we can talk about it like a month, 2 months down the line, and we won't be as consistent. But if we reflect on it weekly and just kind of assess, like, how are we doing with our work and our family life, our relationship with our spouses, our boyfriends, our fiancés, how is that going each week? Because each week it's something new, right? So that's kind of my tip or my suggestion, is to revisit your boundaries every week and see, grade yourself. How did you do this week? A, B, C, F, and then next week is a different week, right? So I think for me this week, I want to say that the boundaries for my work was great. I knew that I was going to work at this time to this time and then shut off. So I have been doing a great job with that. I do believe that I need to be spending more time with my husband. So that is one thing that I would like to do more often, is have that one-on-one time with him. I have children, and so we have hockey practice, we have church, we have all these things. And so I think one thing I'm going to work on this week is making sure that I actually have quality time with my husband. So that's what I'm going to work on. Helen, what about you? How was your setting
That
boundaries?
actually comes to number 3. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to run through these real quick for anybody who has just got to cut this episode up. There's 8 that we found, okay, of balancing love life and business. And the first one we talked about, which was setting boundaries. Number 2 is talk about your finances. 3, making time for each other, which January just mentioned. 4, don't go to bed angry. 5, balance your sacrifices. That's going to be an interesting one. 6, show unconditional support. 7, love the person, not their title. And 8, make decisions together. So let's skip to number 3 and then we'll talk about number 2, okay? Because I do want to jump right into the making time for each other. Okay, what was your what was your question,
So
January?
my question was about boundaries, and it's making time for each other. Like, how do you like, if we're going to reflect on the week, how was your week and what would you do better for this week in terms of setting boundaries?
Okay, so like I said, setting boundaries is really just that open communication of saying, hey, I know you need to get your work done when you get home. You've got phone calls you need to do. Rob's on call all the time, so he's very, very busy. And I just always like to say, okay, peek around the corner. Are you done? Are you done? Now, we don't have kids. I have one son. He's 24. He's in the military. He's over in Italy. So it's just us. We have no dogs. We don't have a lot of plants. I think we got one little tiny one for my friend Beth. It's super easy to take care of. We don't have a lot of pressure on our life or a lot of stress. And it makes for a very simplified life if you choose that, because a lot of couples that have the same, the same type of lifestyle as us, it can be stressful and it can be overcomplicated. But with us, we're very two simple people. So our boundaries are simple, which is so nice because I've been with people that it's overcomplicated. There's tons of boundaries you have to make and it is stressful. So I do make time for Rob, and that's so important because we both have different love languages, and one of our love languages that we both actually have is physical touch and quality time. So as soon as he comes through the door, I try to make sure everything's complete. I try to make sure I can drop what I'm doing, literally drop what I'm doing and say, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need? And that's where the boundaries come in. That's where the communication comes in of saying, hey, do you have work calls you have to do? Do you have to get ready to go to a meeting? Do you, more on his part. And then for me, if I have any evening meetings, which I actually do my best not to make, I do my best to prioritize my relationship and make the business secondary. But again, there's balance there because there's an income. So I do my best to communicate to him if I have meetings I need to go to. I do my best to make sure he understands, hey, I need the room for like an hour. I need to be not bothered. It doesn't work as well because he's so cute. He's like, all right, I still want to check in and see what you're doing. It's
Yes,
often
I
very
remember
fun.
him. I remember him like kind of peeking through and like doing his dance.
Yeah.
I don't see it, you see it, but he's dancing right now.
We're that fun couple where he's like, okay, Helen's in her professional mode. I'm gonna go and kind of be in the background and make faces and dance around. And it's like, that's not funny. Like it's funny, but it's not funny at the same time. And I tell a lot of people sometimes, I feel like when you spend so much time together with just one other person, you weave in and out of like romantic relationship, adulting, and also like becoming teenagers again.
And I love that because Sam does the same thing. He's my clown. He makes me laugh, and I feel like I'm the serious one and he's the like goofy one. And so So I love that. So setting boundaries. All right. So our next conversation piece is talking about our finances. You
Mm,
and I are in the finance industry, and this is perfect because we do talk about money every single day. We talk about money.
mm.
So with my relationship with my husband, um, when we first got married, so here's a little story. When we first got married, I actually I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but I did not have all of my immigration stuff yet. Sam actually had to petition for me to it was a fiance visa, and so he had to petition for me, and so it was a hard thing for me to be a part of his account. And he deployed to Iraq shortly after we got married. And so he just gave me his debit card, and I had access to his debit card and account and whatever. And anyway, um, literally just freshly married. I'm joint account with him, and his coworkers are like, "Aren't you worried? Because, what if she, and because it has happened before where wives have taken the money, and just like spent it all and all that." Um, and he said, "No, I trust her." So we've always had this, we've always had this trust in terms of like our finances, where our finances are going to be. And as we evolved and we're going into 19 years of marriage, we're still joint account, but I have been taking care of all the finances. So he has just relied, on me and trusted me that I was going to take care of the things, which I have. So when he deployed to Iraq, we had no kids. It was just the two of us. And I didn't spend, I was very, very careful about the money. In fact, I didn't spend whatever was coming in because I was working myself. And he was very like impressed. He was happy that that didn't happen. Um, that I didn't squander the money, basically. So now, 19 years in, we're still talking about finances, but this time our finances are, when we talk about our goals, it's more like, yeah, let's pay off our house like this, or so we're talking about that. We're talking about retirement goals. So yeah, we do talk about money in our household. Money is, and I don't want to say, well, it is, it's easy. It's easy to talk about money because we want our children to learn about financial literacy at this young age. So we're normalizing that conversation in our home. So yeah, so talking about finances completely important in our relationship. How about you, Helen?
I think you said it really well when you said normalize the conversation. It, again, the reason why I mentioned the past so much about other relationships is because I've learned from my past relationships and how I used to talk about finances in those relationships compared to the relationship I have now, which is the most healthiest relationship I've been in. And before, I was with somebody for 11 years, one with for 7 years. I was married before for 8 years. And never in any of those relationships did I ever have access to their accounts. Never did I, in those relationships, did they put me as a beneficiary. Never in those relationships did they ever want me to know how much they made. And what's so interesting is the partner I have now is very open. It's not even a thing. That's the that's the line right there where it's not even a thing. It's a, hey, we talk about everything, we share about everything. You're my person. You're the most important person to me if something were to happen to me. And I love that. What I do believe in is separate accounts, though, because I do believe in individuality within the relationship. So we've decided to keep that. We don't want joint accounts. And even, we're to marry in 2 months. Even when we marry, we don't want a joint account. I trust him. He trusts me. We both have access to each other's accounts. I know exactly what's in his account. I do all of the managing of our paperwork, filing. If I have to talk to any of our tax people, I take care of all of that. I take care of, I just make sure everything is good and to go. And in saying that, when we met, we weren't even together. We were friends first. We just dumped on each other of what the issues we had in our past when it came to money with our relationships. And that's really important because then I saw how hurt he was by having an ex who didn't pay the bills, who spent a lot of money on name brand items and then left him high and dry when he's working his butt off, you know? Then he saw how hurt I was when I had somebody saying, "Hey, you spent all my money. You don't, you know, they're belittling me for not contributing as much as they were. They used money in my face, and I often felt hurt by that. So we both basically were like, hey, we came from a hurt place, and this is not what we ever want again. We are like in the second part of our life. We're in the second phase of our life. We are grown-ups. Okay. Well, this is the part of adulting. And I'm over 40. He's in his late 30s. These are adult conversations. We don't want to be in a relationship of fear. We don't want to be in a relationship where we add stress instead of value to one another. So it's not even a, hey, why are you doing this to me? Why? It's, hey, where are we at? What do you think? Look at my account. Can you tell me this? Can you help me with this? The questions and the dynamic of a relationship about finances is completely different for me. It's also new to me. And having a partner who's just so open about it, who's just like, do you need anything from Amazon? Instead of me being just like, let me secretly buy all this stuff so you don't know about it. And like I said, we're both of us, thank God, we're both very simple. And when we first met, I was very clear and concise about how much I value somebody who wants to be debt free. And he matched that energy, and he said, exactly, me too. And it feels good to have a partner where we're both of us are debt free. All our vehicles are paid off. The only thing that's not paid off is the house, but we can tackle that together. It's one of our goals. But yes, that's kind of how we do it. We are very, very communicative about where we are with our finances.
I love that because it's open communication about that. And um, for those of our listeners that are out there, right, that are single or have a boyfriend, and you're still kind of tiptoeing about that subject, highly suggest that you talk about something as simple as, hey, um what is your dream? Like what's your goal for like your financial goal for when you're older, when we're older, like what would you like to have? Something as simple as that. Sometimes when we talk about dreams, it feels a little less obtrusive, a little less intimidating when we're talking about dreams. That conversation will just open up a floodgate of other things. So anyway, that's just kind of my tip for talking about finances with your loved
All
one.
right. Number 4, don't go to bed angry. Oh, this is such a good one. And I'll jump right in real quick. Uh, Not going to bed angry is so important, especially when it comes to balancing love and business, because one of the number one causes of fights in relationships is money. And it can often like go on for days. And that's something that is not tolerable in me and Rob's relationship. Have we never fought about money? No, we haven't. But uh have we had, some type of quarrel over a subject of money? Yes, we have. And I'm going to say Rob is probably the very first person to say sorry, even when he doesn't need to. And I'm the one to say sorry. We just don't want to be angry in bed. We want to talk about things. We want to talk about business. And he sees me over here with my business, and he's so proud of me, even though he's like, okay, what else are you going to do? He knows I'm capable of so much more. He knows I'm capable of different avenues in life, but he never, ever belittles me and never makes me feel ashamed. And he encourages me all the time. And so when we do have a disagreement, we both do our best to like resolve it, even if it's in bed before we go to sleep. What about you, January?
So don't go to bed angry. I'm going to be very transparent. We have gone to bed angry. Yes, we have. And do I like it? No, I do not like it, which is why we're trying to change that, when we do get upset. For me, my whole philosophy on life is live your day as if it was your last, because tomorrow is not promised. Today is what we have. And if that means, for me, if that means letting go of my own pride, my own need to be right, then so be it. So I know for me, I have extended the olive branch, and because I live by that philosophy, is live each day as if it was your last. So I'm gonna do whatever I can, whatever it takes to be at peace and to be at unity with my husband, so that the next day or that night will be good. So anyway, that's what we're working on. Again, progress, not perfection. I swear this shirt, I need to wear this shirt like every day because this is a great reminder, that it's all about progress and every little bit counts.
Absolutely. Okay, number 5, balance your sacrifices. Okay, what does that mean to you, January?
If we're talking about work, okay, so I am a very driven person and I have goals, things that I like to do and to accomplish. And so what that means is that uh, I need to, so certain things like my friends, I love my friends. I love them. But I need to balance the time that I see them. Like I cannot be like going out with them every single day, every single week, because that takes away from my business. It takes away from my goals. And so when I mean balancing sacrifices, it means that I'm not going to neglect my friends because I love my friends. So it means like, okay, maybe once a month that I'm going to see them instead of like before. I used to be like every week we would go to lunch or whatever, right? So now I converted it to maybe it's just once a month. So it's still a sacrifice because I'd like to see them more often than just once a month. But to me, and also like I have a husband, right? So I have a husband, and my husband's, I want to spend time with my husband. So I'm building that bond with him. And so going out with my friends on like a weekly basis or whatever, or talking to them, not talking to my husband, then it's taking away from him, right? So I need to balance the two so that I do give quality time to both parties, and not just like one-sided. What does it mean to you, Helen?
I would have never even thought about the friend part of it, but the friendships are a huge part of your life, and sacrifices, I feel for me, it's a little bit, well, it's actually the same too, but adding in workouts. So workouts to me are like number one priority in my life. They trump almost everything. Like I have to get my workout in for the day. It's my mental health medicine, I like to call it. That's what kind of makes me feel like I've achieved something in the day. However, when Rob has a day off, or when there's something fun to do with friends, I always think to myself, oh my gosh, am I going to lose out on my workout? I start stressing actually. and then I calm myself down and I'm like, hey girl, hey. It's okay to take a day off of your 6-day work with a 6-day workout. Like you can afford to lose 2 days, all right? Because I always tell, I'm a very calculative in my head. I'm very analytical. So I'm like, okay, as long as I get 3 days in a week, I'm gonna be fine. So I always draw myself back to that point and say to myself, it's okay to sacrifice a few days of working out. That's where my balance of sacrifices come in.
Well, this is just note to self, and then we can move on to the next topic. But when we're on the cruise, we're going to work out because that's something that I enjoy as well. I love working out. My goal is 3 times a week, okay? Because hold on. My goal is 3 times a week. And so we're going to be working out on the cruise. All right, number 4. What's our number 4? 5. Oh, 6. Show unconditional support. Okay, show unconditional support. I see that. So my husband, what I love about my husband is he talks about me to his coworkers. And I know this because his friend is one of his coworkers is my friend. they've known each other for a decade. And so she will tell me like, yeah, he was telling, us all this. And I have actually a couple clients because my husband is sharing what I do, to his colleagues, and then his colleagues call me and I'm like, oh my goodness. So to me, that's unconditional support. And he has actually supported me throughout all of my different endeavors. I had a Mama Loves Baby storefront, and I had a mama party. And so he actually set up my whole area for me like the night before, so I wouldn't have to do it the next day. So I woke up and it's all set up. Financially, he supported me with all of my investments and things that I want to do. So it feels good to me when, despite the fact that the other ones didn't work out quite as well, he still was there for me 100%, and he still cheered me on and believed in me. And so I think that's the most important thing, is to have a partner that believes in you, to have a partner that's going to shower you with love, with support, with grace, with just the ability to see you. And I feel that's how Sam looks at me, is that he sees me. He sees me for all that I am. And yeah, so it's an amazing feeling when you have a partner that can do that for you. And I see that with Rob.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm so happy that you have Sam and that he does that for you, because to all of you out there, if you're single and you haven't chosen a partner yet for life, it's so important. It's imperative actually to have somebody who supports you unconditionally. And if you are somebody out there in a relationship, I really hope you have somebody who supports you, and it goes both ways, that you support them as well. Because I know for Rob and I, his support means so much. Not just support of, yeah, you do you, love you. It's more like, hey, I believe in you, because there's parts where he sees me feeling down, where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, I'm struggling. He's like, look, you got this. Look how far you've come. That's really important to me. And it's also important to me when I show support to him. And I'm going to be honest, at first, I had a hard time supporting him because I didn't understand his industry at all. I've never heard of his industry before. And it's a huge industry out here in Wyoming. So I had to learn how to say, oh, yeah, okay, go to dinner with the company man. Okay, yeah, go to dinner with your coworkers. Okay. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, I actually enjoy me time. I love me time. I love, when I tell you, let me emphasize love. I love hanging out by myself. Like, I am so fun. I'm not trying to be big headed. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't seen my sunrise videos, follow me on TikTok, Hell of a Journey with the number 1. I have so much fun by myself. I love spending time with me. I was happy before I even met Rob, because I spent so much amazing time and adventures with myself, that when I met Rob, he added just an explosive more amount of fun. So, in saying that, when I started realizing I kind of was trying to control the situation, because women, we have actually all people, some of us have a bone in us where we try to control other people. It's like, why? I had to like ask myself that. Why are you trying to control him? This is business. This is work. This is what brings in the bigger money into our home. I want to support him as much as he is supporting my dreams and my goals. So I had to really learn how to sit back and say, Helen, why are you trying to control the situation? Like, let that man go. Let him do him. Trust in the situation. And this was all in our first year together. And since then, he comes home and he'll be like, oh, I got to go to dinner with a company man. I'm like, bye, bye. And then I'm already in my head going, oh my God, yes, unks, 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 unks. What are we going to do, Helen? What are we going to watch a Netflix movie on vampires and zombies? You know, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Wow. I love me time as well. And I love that you love me time. This is why you and I get along so well, because I can just be by myself and go to the beach, go to dancing by myself, I just love my me time. But I completely agree with you in supporting our significant others because I see I see when I am next to him, like, so when he was in the military, we would, when he would get promoted, I would be there to, like, pin him and just be there by his side. And I know that that meant a lot to him. And so I love being a part of his life just as much as he loves being a part of mine. And I think the other thing I wanted to say about that is that we're best friends. Like, when you're with your partner, that's your best friend, and it's like my everything, right? He's my everything. Like, he's kind of like my dad sometimes when he's like, you should be sleeping. I'm like, okay, dad, fine, and he could be like, but then he's also my, like, best friend where we'll, like, have fun together and just joke around and do life together, and I love that. So supporting each other is awesome.
I feel like that everything you just said goes into number 7. Love the person, not their title.
Oh, funny. I don't know if it's a funny story. But when we were dating, the idea or the stigmatism is that, oh, you're dating a military guy, so you're in it for the money. So people were looking at me like I was a gold digger, but people didn't realize he was actually an E5, and an E5 doesn't make a whole lot. And for Sam and how he was spending his money, I was actually the one funding the relationship. So the misconception was that, oh, you're dating military, so you're like, you just want the money, you just want, like, the dependa, you want to be a dependa. Oh, dependa. But it wasn't like that. I loved him for him. um Little did I know that as he progressed in his career, he was enlisted, became officer, and then, obviously he's in the civilian sector, um completely whole another title. At the end of the day, he's still Sam. He's still my husband, and I love him for him, even if he doesn't bring in anything. And he wasn't at one point, and I love him, So yes, love the person, not the title.
Yes. Rob and me, I tell him all the time, you are my best friend. When me and Rob met, it was in 2020. So if you all know that, COVID, we he had gotten laid off his job after 16 years. I was well, I had taken a break from everything I was doing in Phoenix. I was there for 16 years. How ironic, 16. And I just went on a solo trip. So I was working, I've been an author for a long time. So my income was from my books sales, and it was from, I was an online business coach, a confidence coach. So I did a lot of working with women and all online. So that was what I was doing. Those were my titles. He's seen me in different titles, which is interesting. Going back to what you said about all of your businesses, right? Our titles. And I had met him, and he's just like, I have no job. This is what I'm doing, just sitting home, waiting for this pandemic to blow over, which is so many Americans at the time. I never looked at his title. I never looked at it and said, "Oh my gosh, you're unemployed." I never looked at that. I looked at two human beings who were in this wild situation, who came across cross paths and said, let's do life, as in traveling together. So that's what we did for 2 weeks. We met, we decided to travel for 2 weeks. And when I tell y'all that I came to Wyoming and I came to his house for dinner and I never left, that is a true story. I never left. So for 9 months, we spent 24/7 together, because for 9 months, it went into 2021. There was hi. So yeah, 2020 going into 2021, there was, people were still jobless. People were still trying to figure out how to get into jobs. It was a crazy time. So 9 months spending with Rob for 24/7. Let me tell you, it was the happiest time of my life. I was, we had so much fun. So, I mean, 9 months straight, pure happiness, pure joy, pure fun with this amazing person. It was fantastic. So I definitely fell in love with the man, not the title. And then when he got his position, And when I tell you he's one of the number one salesmen in the oil field over here in Powder River, I mean, I don't know exactly what I'm saying. This is what I know as far as his title goes. I'm very new to all this. To me, I'm so proud of the person he is behind the title. He's a man of integrity. He's a man of virtue, a man of, enthusiasm, a man of great character. I am proud of who he is because I actually know who he is and not the title around him. Because when I met him, he wasn't attached to a title. I feel very blessed.
I love that we're talking about our guys because I really want them to listen to this because we are just enamored with our men. So one thing about Sam that I wanted to share because it's kind of like yours. One, we had a great time during pandemic. Amazing time. That's probably one of our best times ever was because we saw each other and it was just sitting down watching TV or going out walking. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just spending time together, as husband and wife, and then as a family. And he had just come back from a deployment. So he was in Germany. So thankfully he came right before the lockdown so that we were able to be together. But the other thing that I love what you said was that I fell in love with the person and who he is, not his credentials and not what he can offer and all that. With Sam, there's a part of Sam that I see that I don't think a lot of other people see, and it's his generosity. It's his thoughtfulness. Like I remember when my sisters came and he really wanted them to have like a body wash. Like he wanted to, as something as simple as that. Like he wanted them to have something that it was, for them. And for when we went to Arizona, he was so considerate of you guys. He was like, I want to get donuts for them. He said, okay. So he bought donuts, for us, but he was thinking, he just always likes to think about other people, which was so sweet. The other thing that I wasn't told by him, he didn't tell me. So he's really humble. He can be very humble, actually. His old boss and I were creating his retirement ceremony because at the time it was COVID. There was no retirement ceremony. So I had to makeshift one. And so him and his boss and I created something. His boss was the one who told me that Sam had created a product that was seen by Secretary of State and President Obama at the time. And I had no idea that that was something that, he did. I didn't know. So it was nice to see that because he didn't share that with me. So the whole love for the person is there. I wasn't in love with his title, and it's just all about love. All about love. All right. With that said, what is our last one? Our last one is make decisions together. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we had an argument actually about this because I'm a very independent person and Sam has been gone like every other year throughout our marriage. He was always deployed. That's 7 years out of the 15 years of marriage that we were together during that time. And so that's half of our marriage. He's gone. Right. And I would make decisions on my own. So I got used to that. So it took me some time to realize, and he would tell me, hey, we need to make decisions together. I don't make decisions on my own. So please don't make decisions, without me. And so anyway, that is one thing that we do together is make decisions together.
That's a very good point right there. Because I came from a very independent place where I make my own decisions. I decide what I want to do. And I'm going to admit I'm still working on that. And one of the parts that I'm working on is I am a natural gypsy, natural nomad. When I want to go and do something, I just make my own plans and I go. Like I'll tell Rob, hey, I'm going on this trip on this time. And he'll be like, oh, okay. Like what? I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back in 4 weeks, for my bridal shower. I was supposed to be gone for 4 weeks and I cut a week off and I decided to come back 1 week earlier, but I was gone for 3 weeks. And every single year since I have known him, I've done that. And it's part of me not to make excuses is because since I was a child, I have been born and raised into a nomad lifestyle where if I want to go and do something, I like to say I am most free and most happiest on the open road. Now, I'm also most free and most happiest with my spouse. So, or my partner. So it's very interesting how I'm the one that's got to kind of draw back and say, okay, we make decisions together. I need to learn how to be a union and not separate from my person. Rob is so good at saying, hey, I want to make decisions with you. Let's talk about this. So when I say that I've met somebody who makes me a better person, I mean it. Rob is that person. And what's interesting is in my past relationships, I was the one who always made somebody made somebody want to be a better person. And this is the first time that it's the opposite, which I actually admire, because I feel like I have this strong person in my life. I have my anchor. He grounds me, and he makes me look at the relationship as one instead of two. So I really appreciate that about him. So yeah, I hope they listen. I love you, babe.
I love you, babe. Oh my gosh, I love this conversation. And the rest of the month, we are going to be talking about love, since it is February. So that is our theme for the month. Really excited to dig deeper into our next podcast. It's going to be next week. We're not sure. We're kind of talking about what we're going to be doing for next week. But thank you so much for listening to our podcast today, balancing relationships and our career or our business. And we're so happy that you're here to listen and to support us. Please continue. And if you have not yet left us a review, please leave us a 5-star review. That would be amazing. And give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from our audience what you guys think and what you guys would like to hear, because we ultimately are here so we can chat with you and have this connection. You can find me on Facebook, VIP Finance Builders, along with Instagram, VIP Finance Builders, LinkedIn, January Liddell, and you can just pretty much Google me. I'm there. So easy to contact me and to find me. Helen, where can we find you?
All right, everybody, you can follow me on Facebook for Helen Edwards, or my Facebook business page, Sexy Freedom Media. You can also find me on TikTok, Hell of a Journey 1, Instagram, Hell of a Journey, or Instagram, Sexy Freedom Media. If you don't have a copy of my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, go get your copy on Amazon. You can also get it online at Barnes & Nobles, and follow me because the sequel is coming out. So this is more single life Helen. The sequel will be my love story. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you so much. Have a great day.
Aloha.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at sexyfreedommedia.com.